Hi there, I'm Zoot Java. Today is November 11th, 2020, and as a result, I'd like to talk about Remembrance Day. Now, two members of the Extinction Rebellion caused a huge outrage for pulling for want of a better term, a disrespectful display. Donald Bell, 64, a veteran, and Ann White, with two other demonstrators, decided to have a protest at the Cenotaph in central London in England. They unveiled a banner that said, "Their sacrifice, climate change means war." On this, the 100th anniversary of the memorial in London, Bell brought a wreath of poppies with a sign in the center saying, "Climate change means war, act now." Made a point of walking, hopefully, in between the other wreaths that were there. At least it seemed like he tried not to trample them. But he did hang his wreath above all the others that were there on the cenotaph. Metropolitan Police took a half an hour to take this down, even though they had a car park within sight of the monument. Bell said, "I took action today knowing that I would be criticized. I knew that I would be accused of being disrespectful and hated by many for speaking out in this way." And it would appear that his assumption of this was correct, with Prime Minister Boris Johnson's spokesman saying that this day, of all days, was profoundly disrespectful. Sir Keir Starmer stated that the protest was wrong, in bad taste, and we do not support them. MP Tobias Ellwood, a former Royal Green Jacket, said that this will just alienate people, and the Royal British Legion said that this day was not for political protest. Now, my thoughts on this. I am a firm believer, as I have stated before and will state again, very shortly as a matter of fact, in free speech at all costs. However, I also believe that you should have a little tact with your free speech, such as not going into a church and start speaking against all sorts of things going on that you don't like about religion. To go into a mosque and show cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad or to mock him. Outside of the mosque, outside of the church, I don't really have a problem with it. Again, I don't think that it should be punished for what it is. It should be punished for what you've done. Now, if they want to charge you with, shall we say, entering the church, mosque, whatever, you're asked to leave, and you don't. Well, trespassing charge. I don't have a problem with that. You have trespassed. This is not your property. Want to speak your mind? Do it elsewhere. Do it anywhere you want. That, it's not going to be an issue. This is an issue. I did not like this. I did not like people saying anything about it because this is not a political thing. This is nothing that you should be putting any political garbage into. He thinks he's done something great because he's constantly, always, Donald Bell, if you look into his background, is always disrupting things, gatherings, trying to get their point across, saying that this is what we have to do to get our point out there. Well, it's not. You don't have to do this. There are other ways. Really, there are. Now, as I said before, these are not the times for any political crap. This is, in my point of view, like going to a funeral and heckling the casket as it goes by you, which I don't think you'll find too many people doing something like that. It has been done, but it's ridiculous that anyone would even think to do something so horrendous. However, they would. So that burned my butt, something fierce. There was also, I looked on the internet for the service in Ottawa, in Canada, and I didn't see any that had a chat enabled on the side. Now, it doesn't mean there wasn't any, but I didn't happen to see any, which is just as well, because I didn't want anything, disrespectful there. I wanted this service to go on, even though this was put on the internet. I didn't think this is just not the place. Okay. Now, do I think you should be punished for this? No. If that would happen, no. Do I think you should be put in YouTube prison? Your video removed? No, I don't. I still think you should be able to do it. I think it's a horrendous thing to do, and I'm getting to that. I then wanted to see what happened in the United States. Donald Trump laid a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, and there was a chat enabled on the side. So I read all these people who took it upon themselves to make ignorant comments about Donald Trump. Attack him, insult him. You want to know something? I don't care when you do it. This was not the time. Okay? This was not the time. This was, to me, it's tantamount to doing it at a funeral. Okay? So even then, even though that's not, I shouldn't think that it should be illegal. But just have a little taste, like a little decorum, a little respect for the people who died. And had they not done that, we wouldn't have this society where you can run around and be free to do all these things and say all these things. Like, I didn't care now. Now, go. Criticize Donald Trump. Insult him. Call him everything you want. I don't care. Had they had that thing with a chat enabled for the Canadian one, I am definitely not a fan of Justin Trudeau's. That's to say that I can't stand him is an understatement. I cannot stand Justin Trudeau, and I don't like his personality. I don't like what he does as a prime minister. I think he's a terrible prime minister. I think he does an awful job as a prime minister. But again, two things. The first thing is, I wouldn't care about his personality if he did a half-decent job, but he doesn't. So two things annoy me. If you do your job and you're a pain in the butt, I don't care that you're a pain in the butt because you're doing your job. Having said that, the reason I said that was, if there was a chat enabled, I was not going to go and attack him for being there. He did everything properly. He did everything with respect, proper decorum, There was no reason to say anything about the man. because this is not about him. This is not about anybody else there. This is not about us. This is for all the benefits that we share as a world, not just our countries, but how the world has benefited because of the outcomes of the First and Second World War. People have no idea how free they are. They don't know what freedom is because they've never lived without it. And these people died not having to enjoy their freedom, the freedom that they fought to give us. It has a bit of a resounding with myself because I've had relatives who were in the war. Most people can look back and find them. My grandfather was in the British Army in the First World War, the Canadian Army in the Second World War. His son, my uncle, was in the Air Force, shot down, spent about 2 years in a German prisoner of war camp. Not fun. All that time, they thought he was dead. I had another uncle who was in the Canadian Army, a great uncle in the Canadian Army. I had a great uncle and his 2 sons were both in the Navy on a ship called the Hood that got shot and sunk. Lost them. Never had a chance to meet them. So, these things, I'm not that close to it, but I'm close enough to people that understood it, could tell me about it. If you have a chance to talk to someone who has experienced it, ask them about it. That's if they will talk about it. Some just can't, and it's understandable. This day is the reason that I also hold this day very dear is because this is the one day that, while I mentioned those religious points, that was because of the free speech. The point about Remembrance Day is simply this. This is something everyone, and I mean everyone, can get behind. This is the one day I find that we can have as a unifying day. That politicians aren't trying to whip us into a frenzy about why we hate these people and why we hate that people. And don't kid yourself, they're doing it. But on this day, this is nothing but remembering people that we never knew. Most of us. Who went out there and gave their lives. Joining when they're, 18 years old. My uncle, who was in the Air Force, got shot down, was 17 years old when he joined the Air Force to go fight in the Second World War. And it didn't really dawn on me until my sons were that age. And I looked at them and I thought, oh my gosh, to think that they would to join up and go and fight and possibly lose their lives at that age when I looked at them. Just unbelievable. People don't understand this. This is why this day is important. This day is unifying. Even if, and some people have said, well, it's great for you to say because we were on the winning side. And no, that's not true either. People in Germany who are holding this big guilt image because of what happened with Hitler. They have nothing to be ashamed of. It's not them. that did this. They they let a monster loose, and unknowingly he he did horrible things. Tried to take over the world. But these people were just ordinary people. My ex-wife's uncle was in the German army. He was a wonderful man, a lot of fun, liked a good time. He wasn't out there thinking that, you know, I'm a monster, I'm going to take over, everybody must die. He wasn't like that. He wasn't that type of person. And he said everybody else that he knew in the army was the same way. It was just the same as our people. We're doing the bidding, once again, of our politicians. So always second guess your politicians. Always. That's why I talk about them all the time. And what you've got to really do is come together. This is the day we can all come together. All people, all cultures, all countries, all over the world. This is the day. This is the day where everybody realizes that people just like them in their countries, relatives of theirs, maybe not relatives of theirs, friends of theirs, people went out and fought because they believed in what they were doing. They believed they were doing the right thing. That's what matters. And they were doing it for the good of all. That's all I have today. There's no joke as a result of this day. But please like and subscribe because it really helps me out. And these guys are killing my algorithms. So, I mean, it really helps me out. So it really bothers them if people like and subscribe to my content also. And that alone is worth the price of admission to me. Also, if you can, just hit the little bell on the underneath so that you can see more of my content as it comes up. Get notifications of it, and spread it all across your social media. All of it, all the way. Drive them crazy. Thank you for listening. And most of all, thank you to all the people who fought, who died, and cared so that we could have everything that we have today. So, on that note, till later, have a Java on Zoom.